Some crimes begin with a suspect. This one began with confusion. The sniper. No one saw. In October 2002, ordinary places across Washington, D.C. suddenly became scenes of unexplained violence. A single shot, no witnesses, no visible attacker. Police searched for a familiar image of danger, a lone man, a recognizable threat. But the more certain the investigation became, the further it moved from the truth. Because the sniper was never invisible. He was simply not who anyone expected to find. The morning began like any other October day around Washington, D.C. Cool air moved slowly through suburban streets, carrying the quiet rhythm of commuters starting their routines. Gas stations filled with early drivers, coffee shops opened their doors to familiar faces, shopping center parking lots echoed with the ordinary sounds of car doors closing and distant conversations. Nothing about the morning suggested danger. At a grocery store in Montgomery County, Maryland, shoppers moved between aisles under fluorescent lights, thinking about errands, work schedules, and weekend plans. Outside, the parking lot sat exposed beneath a pale autumn sky, wide open and completely unremarkable. James Martin stepped out of the store just after sunrise. He carried a bag in one hand, walking toward his car without urgency. Around him, engines started. Radios played softly, and life continued in predictable patterns. People passed each other without noticing. No one looked up. Then a single sound cut through the morning, sharp, brief, almost mistaken for something else. For a moment, no one reacted. There was no visible threat, no shouting, no fleeing figure. Just confusion. The strange pause that happens when reality doesn't immediately make sense. Martin collapsed beside his vehicle. Witnesses would later struggle to explain what they had heard. Some described a pop. Others said it sounded like construction noise in the distance. Many didn't realize anything had happened until seconds later, when movement stopped and silence settled over the parking lot. Police arrived believing it might be an isolated shooting, a personal dispute, a random act of violence, something explainable. The scene offered no answers, no weapon, no suspect, no direction from which the shot had come, only an ordinary place, suddenly marked by something unseen. By midday, life in the surrounding neighborhoods resumed almost normally. News reports were brief. Authorities reassured the public there was no immediate danger, but somewhere beyond the edges of attention, someone had already driven away, watching, waiting. And the city, without realizing it yet, had just entered a story defined not by what people could see, but by what they couldn't. The second shooting did not immediately change anything. At first, it felt like coincidence. Less than 24 hours after the first attack, another person was shot miles away. Different neighborhood, different surroundings, no visible connection between victims. Authorities repeated familiar words to reporters standing behind yellow tape. Unrelated incidents. The phrase traveled quickly through television broadcasts, offering reassurance people were eager to accept. Morning traffic continued along the Beltway. Parents dropped children at school. Office buildings filled with routine conversations about deadlines and meetings. Life resisted disruption. But investigators began to notice details that refused to fit comfortably together. Each victim had been outside. Each attack happened in open public space. Each involved a single precise shot. No witnesses described a gunman. No one saw anyone running. It was as if violence appeared briefly. and then erased itself. News stations started placing the stories closer together during broadcasts. Maps appeared on screens, small red markers scattered across suburban neighborhoods. Commentators spoke cautiously, careful not to suggest panic. Still, something subtle began to shift. People lingered less in parking lots. Drivers glanced around before stepping out of their cars. Conversations ended with uneasy jokes about staying safe. Humor used to hide uncertainty no one could yet explain. Police departments from multiple jurisdictions compared reports late into the night. Ballistic evidence suggested the same weapon might be involved, though officials hesitated to confirm it publicly. Admitting a connection would change everything, because a connected pattern meant intention, and intention meant someone was choosing the targets. By the end of the week, another shooting occurred. Then another. The randomness became impossible to ignore. News coverage expanded. Helicopters hovered above crime scenes. Reporters spoke in lowered voices usually reserved for national emergencies. Still, there was no suspect description, no vehicle, no clear motive, only distance, precision, and silence. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the city began to understand something unsettling. The danger was not confined to one place. It could appear anywhere ordinary life existed. Gas stations, sidewalks, parking lots. Anywhere someone paused long enough to feel safe. Fear did not arrive all at once. It spread quietly, carried through conversations, headlines, and the growing realization that no place felt entirely predictable anymore. By the second week of October, Washington, D.C. and the surrounding Beltway suburbs had begun to change their behavior. Gas stations, once places of routine stops, became moments of exposure. Drivers crouched beside their vehicles while pumping fuel, glancing toward rooftops and distant tree lines. Some people moved quickly in zigzag patterns, unsure why they were doing it, only certain that standing still felt dangerous. Schools canceled outdoor activities. Recess moved indoors. Sports practices were postponed. Parents waited anxiously at pickup lines, scanning open spaces before letting children step outside. The attacks continued without warning, morning, afternoon, evening. There was no schedule to learn, no pattern the public could follow to feel prepared. Victims were chosen from ordinary life: a landscaper cutting grass, a woman loading groceries, a man walking across a parking lot. The randomness became the message. Television news ran constant coverage. Anchors spoke beside digital maps filled with expanding red circles. Experts debated psychology, terrorism, and serial violence, each theory offering temporary certainty before collapsing under new information. Helicopters hovered above highways. Police checkpoints appeared along major roads, officers stopping vehicles under flashing lights while commuters waited in tense silence. The city listened for sounds it had never noticed before. A car backfiring, construction noise, a dropped object echoing across pavement. Every sharp sound caused heads to turn. For the first time, everyday spaces felt exposed, too open, too visible. People hurried between buildings, minimizing time outdoors as if instinct alone could provide protection. Yet the most unsettling detail remained unchanged. No one had seen the shooter. There were no dramatic escapes, no eyewitness descriptions, no clear direction from which danger arrived. Only a single shot, and then absence. And as fear settled into daily life, investigators faced a growing problem. The public was searching for a monster they could imagine, but the reality they were chasing did not match the image forming in everyone's mind. But what if the greatest obstacle wasn't the sniper? As fear grew, so did the need for explanation. Investigators worked around the clock, gathering fragments of evidence from scattered crime scenes, connected only by distance and precision. Ballistic reports confirmed what authorities had begun to suspect, but hesitated to announce publicly: the same weapon. One shooter, a single individual moving through the region unseen. With that conclusion came another step: profiling. Behavioral analysts studied patterns, searching for psychological clues hidden inside the attacks. Based on past cases, they constructed an image meant to guide the investigation. A lone white male, mid-20s to early 40s, socially isolated, driving a white van or truck. The profile felt logical, familiar, understandable. And once released to the public, it became reality in people's minds. Tip lines flooded with reports of suspicious white vans. Drivers were stopped repeatedly. Innocent people found themselves questioned simply because they matched expectations shaped by years of crime narratives. News broadcasts reinforced the image. Sketches appeared. Experts spoke confidently about motives and personality traits. The unknown threat slowly gained a recognizable face, one that felt easier to fear because it was imaginable. But certainty came with a hidden cost. Investigators began looking in one direction, and only one direction. Meanwhile, the shootings continued. Each new attack contradicted assumptions without clearly revealing why. Locations shifted unpredictably. Timing defied behavioral expectations. The shooter showed patience, discipline, and planning that did not fully align with the psychological portrait dominating the investigation. Still, changing course felt dangerous. Admitting uncertainty in the middle of public panic risked making fear worse. So the search continued for someone who fit the profile. Roadblocks expanded. Helicopters searched highways. Officers scanned vehicles matching descriptions broadcast across every news station. And somewhere within that widening net, the real perpetrators moved freely. Invisible, not because they were hidden, but because they did not resemble the danger everyone expected to find. The investigation had direction. The city had an image. Both were wrong. By mid-October, fear had become routine. People no longer asked if another shooting would happen, only when and where. The randomness that once shocked the region had settled into a quiet expectation, like distant thunder that never fully disappeared. Police presence intensified across the Beltway. Helicopters traced slow circles in the sky. Patrol cars lined highway exits. Officers searched vehicles beneath harsh floodlights, while commuters waited silently, watching mirrors and shadows. Still, the attacks continued. Investigators now understood the level of precision involved. Ballistic analysis revealed shots fired from significant distances, requiring patience and advanced marksmanship. The shooter was not acting impulsively. He was planning. Crime scenes shared an unsettling similarity. Wide open spaces offering clear lines of sight. Parking lots, gas stations, sidewalks exposed to surrounding terrain. Locations chosen not for the victims themselves, but for visibility and escape. Witnesses described nothing unusual. No running figure, no speeding vehicle, no sound beyond a single crack that vanished almost instantly. The absence became the defining feature of the case. Authorities searched for someone moving quickly after each attack, unaware that the shooter rarely needed to rush. Hidden at distance, shielded by ordinary surroundings, he could observe without being noticed. The city imagined danger close by. In reality, it was often hundreds of meters away. Media coverage intensified the pressure. Reporters counted the days between shootings like a clock measuring anxiety. Experts debated motives: revenge, terrorism, psychological compulsion, each theory filling airtime but offering little clarity. Behind the scenes, investigators faced a growing realization. The attacks were not chaotic, they were controlled. Someone understood how people reacted to fear, how predictable panic could become once uncertainty took hold. Every new shooting reinforced the same message: nowhere felt safe for long. And while police searched highways and questioned drivers matching a familiar description, the true method of the attacks remained hidden in plain sight. The shooter was not escaping detection through speed. He was escaping it through expectation. The investigation was chasing movement, while the threat relied on stillness. The turning point did not arrive with certainty. It began with small details, fragments that seemed insignificant on their own, but impossible to ignore when placed together. Investigators reviewing evidence noticed something previously overlooked. Communication attempts connected to the shootings, messages left at crime scenes, phone calls referencing attacks before details were made public. Someone was watching the investigation as closely as the investigators themselves. The shooter wanted to be heard, but understanding the message required abandoning assumptions that had guided the search for weeks. Ballistic evidence confirmed the attacks were carried out using a high-powered rifle fired from concealed positions. Analysts reconsidered earlier scenes, reconstructing sightlines and distances. Slowly, a new possibility emerged. The shooter might not be moving through crowds at all. He might be operating from within a vehicle. Attention shifted toward reports previously dismissed as unrelated, sightings of a dark-colored sedan near multiple locations. Unlike the widely publicized white van, the vehicle drew little attention. It blended easily into traffic, invisible precisely because it appeared ordinary. The investigation changed direction almost overnight. On October 24, 2002, a citizen tip led authorities to a rest area along Interstate 70 in Maryland. Officers approached cautiously, surrounding a parked Chevrolet Caprice under the cover of darkness. Inside the vehicle, two individuals slept: John Allen Muhammad and 17-year-old Lee Boyd Malvo. The discovery shocked investigators. Not a lone older white male, not the profile repeated across national broadcasts. Two perpetrators working together, one adult, one teenager, operating from a modified vehicle designed to conceal their firing position. The threat that had paralyzed an entire region ended quietly, without confrontation, without the dramatic pursuit many had imagined. After weeks of searching for a visible monster, the suspects were found resting in plain sight. The fear that reshaped a city had never depended on chaos, it depended on misunderstanding. And once reality replaced expectation, the invisible suddenly became undeniable. When the arrests were announced, relief spread quickly across the Washington metropolitan area. For weeks, fear had shaped daily life, altering routines, changing behaviors, and turning ordinary spaces into sources of uncertainty. Now, suddenly, the threat had a name, a face, an ending people could understand. Traffic returned to normal patterns. Schools resumed outdoor activities. gas stations filled again without hesitation. But the atmosphere did not immediately return to what it had been before October. Something quieter remained. Investigators later examined not only how the attacks were carried out, but why they had been so effective at creating widespread fear. The answer was not simply violence, it was perception. The shootings challenged assumptions about danger. People expected threats to look familiar, to follow recognizable patterns shaped by past crimes and cultural narratives. When reality failed to match those expectations, uncertainty grew stronger than the attacks themselves. The city had not only been searching for a suspect, it had been searching for an image, and that image delayed understanding. The Beltway sniper case became a turning point in modern investigations, reshaping discussions around profiling, media influence, and the psychology of public fear. Authorities recognized how quickly certainty could narrow perspective, and how easily attention could move in the wrong direction. In the end, the threat was never invisible. It existed within ordinary spaces, hidden behind assumptions about what danger was supposed to look like. Long after the headlines faded, many residents remembered the silence that followed each shot more than the sound itself, the moment when normal life paused, waiting for explanation. Fear, they learned, does not always come from what is seen. Sometimes it grows from what is misunderstood. And for a brief period in October 2002, an entire city lived inside that misunderstanding, until reality finally came into focus. The case became a reminder that danger does not always look the way we expect it to. And sometimes, the greatest obstacle to finding the truth is the story we tell ourselves about what that truth should be. Long after the arrests, many people remembered how ordinary life had changed, how parking lots felt different, how silence carried weight, and how uncertainty reshaped daily routines. Next on True Echoes. Next episode, the search for a killer takes a different turn. While one case was defined by silence and invisibility, the next begins with letters, messages sent directly to investigators and the media. As smiley faces start appearing at crime scenes and inside handwritten confessions, detectives realize they are no longer chasing someone trying to hide, but someone desperate to be known. Happy Face Killer, coming next on Catching Killers. The truth coming soon on True Echoes. In the end, the Beltway sniper attacks were not remembered only for the violence they caused, but for the fear they created. Because fear leaves echoes long after the sound that created it disappears. And sometimes, understanding comes only when we learn to question what seems obvious. What do you think? Was this case a failure of profiling, media pressure, or human expectation? Share your thoughts in the comments. Stories don't end, they echo. To be continued.